Cloudcast Media. Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, and we are so pleased to have in the studio with us today Vinod Lobo, the CEO of Learning Upgrade. How you doing, Vinod?
Doing good. Thanks for having me.
This is an absolute honor. And joining us is your friend and colleague, and ours too, and that is Neville Billamori, our Senior VP of Community Relations Marketing for Mission Fed Credit Union, is a very frequent guest co-host with me. And Neville, I always appreciate when you find time in your unbelievably warp speed schedule to join us.
You're very kind. It's always an honor to be with you guys.
I appreciate that. And joining us is Isha Walia. She is a curiosity shipper. As our Spotlight folks know, we don't do internships at Cloudcast. We do curiosity ships. And Isha is going to be an incoming junior at Northeastern University in Boston, and she's doing a great job. This is her fifth and last set of interviews. You enjoying yourself?
Having a lot of fun.
What are you learning most?
Honestly, just getting comfortable with speaking on the mic.
Very, very good. How about these unbelievable guests we have at the top of their game in whatever field they're in?
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, everyone has such different stories. It's so nice to hear.
Different and compelling stories with this. We'll get started right away. And I know, Vinod, that Isha has a question for you.
Yeah, tell us, what's the mission of your organization?
So, Learning Upgrade, our goal is to help people in poverty and in crisis, both children and adults, to make a big breakthrough in their education. Education seems to be the big stumbling block between people in poverty and success. And so whether it's children learning, reading and math, so they can do well in school, or adults making a breakthrough, especially immigrants, refugees, people new to the country, education is the thing that really makes a difference in their lives, makes them self-reliant, gives them confidence. So our whole mission for the last 25 years has been, how do we give everyone who doesn't have access to that life-changing education access?
So how does one do that?
So basically, we've been working with institutions, organizations. Everyone who needs help has access to some organization. Sometimes it's a school, sometimes a church, sometimes a homeless shelter. Sometimes it's just ethnic organization, religious organization. Whoever you have contact with, who you trust, we can work with them. They can get you enrolled. You can make huge progress. And then they have coaches and mentors, and they can help you make this breakthrough.
Yeah, I'm so glad to hear this. As Neville knows, because I've pretty much met in this footprint, I was honored to work for San Diego Unified a billion years ago, literally it was, when Dr. Tom Pezant was superintendent, and then he got snatched away by the Clinton administration. So it's in my blood, as it was, journalism is too, so it's sort of a double whammy in all that aspect of it, and nothing more pleases me than being able to give back. I've been honored to be on the Junior Achievement Board and Classroom of the Future, and as long as Neville and I have known each other, which is literally 21 years, almost the day he landed at Mission Fed, that's all we talk about is education. Neville, talk about how important this is and what Vinod does.
So first of all, we know that education is a great leveler. Second of all, the worst kind of poverty is the poverty of possibilities. Third, education in its current state is in dire need of an intervention. We're seeing such defection from the traditional model. People are trying to homeschool. People are questioning the value of a four-year college degree. Today it's all about skills, not degrees. Learning Upgrade is a data-informed, people-centric model that allows a self-motivated individual to close the educational gap, and you can measure the results. The returns are powerful, not just for the individual, but by extension for the family and for society. And Vinod and his family have invested decades refining this model and applying it globally. In fact, they won an award that I'll let him tell you about, that but for me reaffirmed that this works. It was a proof point. Do you want to tell him about
Yeah, sure. So for many years, we've been working on K-12, children, helping children in schools all across the U.S. And then 6 years ago, we joined an adult literacy competition, XPRIZE competition. Usually they're send a man to space and stuff like that. But this was, can you teach someone who is low literate, third grade level or below, just using a cell phone app, no human contact, just a cell phone app, can you get them reading? This was a revolutionary concept. And we were part of a 12,000 adult trial. We ended up winning that competition, which was a $2 million prize. And that's just launched everything for us globally. Ever since then, we've reached 3 million people, half of them adults, 500,000 children around the world. So that was kind of a turning point in our lives, helped us just scale up, because we've always known that we could help someone learn. The issue is, how do you scale it?
Yeah, one thing I forgot to mention was the San Diego Council on Literacy. I worked for the Union Tribune for many, many years, and Mrs. Helen Copley was a co-founder of that, as you know, Vinod, and certainly Neville does too, with Brian Bilbray, who was then a city council person down in South Bay. I'm honored to say I'm still involved with the Council on Literacy, and Jose Cruz is a pretty cool guy, and I know you know him as well on this. And we all know, to Neville's point, education is the equalizer. It doesn't know ethnicity, it doesn't know gender, it doesn't know preferences. It just knows how I can move forward in this aspect of it. We're chatting with Vinod Lobo. He is the CEO of Learning Upgrade. I'm Drew Schlosberg, who's listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We now have the nation's longest-running community podcast, and he's broadcasting in this beautiful mission-fed studio here in Scripps Ranch in Mission-Fed. You talk about a group that's been giving back to the community for 60-plus years, and they'll be doing it for another 60-plus years. I'm joined by Neville Villamoria, a colleague and Senior VP of Community Relations and Marketing, and joined by Isha Walia, an incoming junior at Northeastern University, and my co-host. I know you have a question for Vinod.
Yeah, tell us more about mobile learning, whether it's through songs or videos. How has that been like a big breakthrough?
Yeah. Our whole angle as a company is to use music, video, games. So we have produced 600 original songs here in San Diego.
Wow.
And Shyla Lobo, who happens to be my mom, is a teacher and a professional Hollywood songwriter. And so we've worked on this for the last 25 years. What we found is we always knew our program could teach through the web. The big breakthrough with the XPRIZE was mobile. What we found now is, because mobile phones give you a whole open world in your pocket.
Yeah.
Okay, so as an example, during COVID, we helped refugees in Turkey who were Afghan refugees. There was no way to help them. They needed to learn English to come to Canada. They needed to pass the test, IELTS. And how could we do this during COVID? Well, they all had mobile phones. And we found out that they did something we call binge learning. You know what binge watching is? Netflix, you can't stop.
Correct.
Binge learning means you start a learning upgrade lesson, 10 minutes later finishes. You usually start around 8 or 9 at night, because our clients often have 4 kids. They've just put them to bed. They're tired. They're refugees. And now, guess what? You do, I'll do 2 learning upgrade lessons. Then you say, I'll do 1 more. I'll do 1 more. We found that 70% of the lessons in Turkey were completed between 8 at night and 2 in the morning.
Wow.
So people are binge learning all night because of the music and the fun and the variety. And that's how we got these refugees to Canada. So it's all about engagement. No one wants to do something boring in the middle of the night. And if you can engage them, make it fun, make it exciting, then children or adult, they'll do it.
You know what amazes me about this? Neville's heard this so many times, he's probably getting sick and tired of me saying this. I know our listeners are too. But we've known since people were walking upright, if you motivate them, no matter what it is, the drawings on the caves of Lascaux or, whatever they're doing out there, they're going to absolutely raise their level of learning, aptitude, and so forth. And for the life of me, really, it's taken us until 2023 to figure this stuff out. Are you kidding me? We've known this thing during the dinosaur era. Neville, I know that's something you and I chat about all the time. And then now when people follow this, and it's really not a secret sauce. This is not secret at all. We've known this for many, many times. And doing what Vinod has said, it is a no-brainer, is it not?
One would think so, but if it's common sense, it's uncommon practice. Or to know and not to do is not to know. I think the two pieces that are integral to this work have both already been identified, but just let me call them out.
Please.
The first is a high trust environment. The access point to all these folks who are challenged with the poverty of possibilities, not having the opportunity for education, is they need a point of access that they feel is a high trust environment, otherwise they're not going to engage. The data suggests that high trust environments create 7 times higher achievement than a traditional environment. So adjusting for classroom size, technology, affluence, zip code, all of that stuff matters. I'm not minimizing it, but actually trust is a better predictive variable of success. Second is this whole point of engagement and connect me to the work. The most important thing to a student is relevancy. If they can see the relevancy, they're going to be engaged in support of that. And gamification, edutainment, a whole brain learning with music, because that kicks up a whole different aspect of your brain. So these are all hacks to ensure that the learning happens, not just we're in a classroom. I could be in a classroom and stone cold dead and bored out of my mind and, checking my phone under my desk. So how do we transform the educational environment to be high trust and people are connected to the meaning of the action? Then we got a game on.
Yeah, and one of the ways we do that is transform schools of education. I don't mean to take swipes at my friends on this because they work very, very hard, and we know it, and it's not easy when you close that door for 182 days of the year, and you've got either 175 screaming 13-year-olds, or you're dealing with 30 7-year-olds and all that. But it's not easy. My daughter's a teacher in the Poway School District of Vinod in this area, but we know this stuff works. As Neville has heard, and Isha, I think a little bit, if Drew ran the world, and I have a curriculum business as well, then I would just say you can teach everything through visual and performing arts, which of course is music, and plays and everything else, because you can talk about history and physics and everything with it. One of these days, before they take me out of here feet first, that's going to happen on that. Maybe when we come back from break, you can talk a little bit more about that as well. I know that's important to you, Neville, as a musician, and I know Vinod is one as well. When we learn in that vein, it does work. And I really like, and maybe we can chat about this too, Vinod, something that Neville brought up. It's data-driven. Things that are successful are usually data-driven in this aspect. I know it's in Neville's DNA and must be in yours too. So we'll chat about that, and I know Isha has a bunch of questions for you when we return with Vinod Lobo, CEO of Learning Upgrade, and Neville Villamoria, Senior VP of Community Relations and Marketing for Mission Fed. I'm Drew Schlosberg, as you're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, joined by my very talented co-host, Isha Walia, who will be an incoming junior at Northeastern University. We will be right back.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. You're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, the nation's longest-running community podcast, now in our 17th year. We are joined by Vinod Lobo, CEO of Learning Upgrade, and Neville Bellamoria is sitting in as a co-host, as he does many, many times. I'm thrilled, Senior VP of Community Relations and Marketing for Mission Fed, and I'm joined by my co-host, been now for 5 weeks, jumping in and doing some great work on this. Vinod, we were just talking about music and songs and video. I know Isha asked you that question. Talk about that creative team of songwriters. I know that Neville had certainly mentioned that when you won that XPRIZE competition, but how critical is that? Yeah,
so our creative team here in San Diego is Shiloh Lobo. I already mentioned my mother. Also, Ray Blavitt, who's an animator and lives in Ocean Beach, as all good artists should. And there's also a game programmer, John Banks, who's based in Encinitas. Also, 2 singers, Keith Jefferson and Danielle Opresti, local, and a voice artist, Chris Montalongo. This core team's been with us 23 years. Working on this, 600 lessons, all the songs, all the music. And it's a labor of love. What we found that if you use this high quality media, people know it. The kids and adults today, when we talk about adults, refugees, for example, immigrants, they're usually under 35. Guess what world they grew up in? TikTok, YouTube, social media. They watch videos, they play games. This is the world they live in. And then you try to teach them with a chalkboard and, workbooks, and it doesn't work. This is the world they live in. So what we're trying to do is go into their home territory. This is their home territory. They spend all day on the phone, right? This is their home territory. We're trying to educate them in the world that they're already comfortable with.
It's funny because now I'm going to really date myself, and Isha's going to have to go Google this. We grew up with 78s and 45s, right, Neville? And so those were those big records. I remember my first 45 was Rolling Stones, Let's Spend the Night Together, and Ruby Tuesday on the flip side. And of course, both you guys would appreciate that, being musicians.
Yeah, baby.
That's right, exactly. And then my first big album was Canned Heat on the Road Again. Now, when you're going and say this guy's 100 years old and he's still speaking, for God's sake, on this. Do you remember, Isha, the very first song or band you fell in love with?
Oh, it was probably like One Direction.
Well, right, good. One Direction. How about you, Vinod?
Yeah, for me, it was Earth, Wind & Fire and Stevie Wonder and Elton John.
Beautiful. And Neville?
Well, when my dad came back from America when we were living in India, I think he brought a couple albums. One of them was Deep Purple, Machine Head, and I think The Doors original or something like that. So those were played till they were ground down to stone.
And Neville, I think you're giving me an idea that you and I need to have just a separate show on and have
the classics,
the classics and all that. But what were people's very first concert? What was their first album? What was their first 45?
That'd be fun.
It would be really fun to do that. Isha, I know you have a question for Vinod.
Yeah, tell us the story that makes you most proud of your organization.
Yeah, there's a lady named Sudio. She's at the UMI Learning Center in San Diego. So it's on College, right, Alcon. And she was dropping her 7 kids off at an after-school program at UMI. They run an after-school program. And they had engaged us a few months earlier and said, hey, can we do a pilot of Learning Upgrade? So they gave her a username and password, and she took this home. It was on a phone, and she is a Somali refugee. She was reading at first grade level, ABC, 1, 2, 3. She took it home, and over the next 18 months, spent 350 hours on Learning Upgrade. She did all the English, all the math, all the way to algebra. She did the GED prep, and she got a diploma, And this was all using her phone late at night, binge learning after 7 children go to bed. And there's also cultural issues why she couldn't go to school in her community. So this was a huge breakthrough. It blew our minds. What it told us is that someone just working on their own. Now, this person has so many barriers to learning.
Yeah.
I mean, she doesn't have time. She doesn't have transport. Culturally, she's not supposed to be educated. And yet, there she was. And the reason this worked is all she needed was her phone. There wasn't a Monday, Wednesday at 10 o'clock class. There wasn't a curriculum that held her back. It's like, how many hours you got? It takes 25 hours on Learning Upgrade to improve 1 year in English.
Wow.
25 hours to improve 1 year in math. So people always used to tell us, how many months does it take? How many years does it take? And I tell them, no, it's how many hours does it take? If a refugee wants to put 8 hours a day in a week, they could make a year growth. So it doesn't have to do with the calendar. So Studio is our poster, person for how can you change your life?
So here's the $64,000 question. I work very closely with the San Diego County Office of Education, work for San Diego Unified. Tell me why, or maybe they are, how many of the school districts are adopting what you're doing?
Well, we've worked with San Diego Unified for 15 years. Many of the schools use Learning Upgrade.
Great.
Lakeside Middle School with math.
Great superintendent there, by the way, Rhonda Taylor.
Yeah. Sweetwater Adult Ed uses our program for special needs throughout the district. We're also working on Adult Ed with Sweetwater. But then there's San Diego Public Library. We've worked with them almost 20 years.
Right.
Helping people. Nowadays, it's very hard to get tutors after COVID.
Right.
But Learning Upgrade is a tutor. Works with them at home.
Right, exactly. Do you work at all with the AVID program? Are you familiar with the AVID program?
Familiar. And we work with a lot of those schools doing those type of programs.
Right.
Because basically, if you're trying to improve the school from within, our program doesn't replace teachers. It's a tool that teachers use.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the wonderful things is you can give a teacher a resource and let them do what we call blended learning at home with Learning Upgrade or after school or during school and also doing schoolwork. That combination works really well.
Right. Especially
now because a lot of children in the United States who are not special needs are still 2-3 years behind due to COVID.
Yeah. There's no question that had a major impact on that. To say the learning loss was huge. We're chatting with Vinod Lobo, CEO of Learning Upgrade. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, joined by Neville Villamoria, Senior VP of Community Relations and Marketing for Mission Fed, and my other co-host, Isha Walia, incoming junior at Northeastern University. Neville, you're a master at messaging and getting the word out, of course. That's something you've been championing in your 21 years at Mission Fed. How do we get more people involved with Learning Upgrade?
Well, this show is really going to help because we can use this and amplify the voice and opportunity that's here. I think that punchline of 25 hours gives you 1 year. I mean, come on now. Yeah. Why are we why do we judge our success by how many? We did 4 years in college or we did X years in K through 12. I mean, that I think that's so dated. So
it is.
If we want to focus on the results, we want to prove that we can do it. I think, again, the drive here with the evidentiary example that Vinod provided, it's the student's desire to learn. If they choose to binge watch Netflix all night versus binge learn, that's their prerogative. But if you're motivated and you're just furthest from opportunity and don't have the resource, they're taking all the barriers away. It's no longer home turf advantage, it's home phone advantage. It's no longer don't workbooks, it's forget the workbooks. So they've reimagined the opportunity and creating the results from the perspective of the student. Come on, people, let's go.
You know, what I'd love to do, Vinod, before we wrap it up with a question Isha has for you, moving forward, love to have you make a return appearance, and would love to have you have, if she's available, studio, if she wants to come in when she's dealing with her 7 kids and she's getting no sleep and all that business, or somebody else that has benefited for Learning Upgrade. It'd be great if it's a student and if maybe a parent and so forth. Some of the refugees, and we'd love to have the street cred.
Yes.
You're the street cred, obviously, but I mean, have somebody in that's benefited.
Would love to
Can we make that happen?
I would love to do that. Let's bring some learners, children, and adults.
Consider it a done deal, and it won't just be once. Absolutely, we'll do that. I'm all fired up for that one already, and we'll make sure we send you that audio when you're back in Northeastern University. I know you have one last question.
Yeah, what can our Spotlight on the Community listeners do to support you?
Well, there's 2 ways that people get access to Learning Upgrade. One is they could always just go and download Learning Upgrade from the App Store, in the Apple or the Google Play Store, Learning Upgrade, and just put people on it, put children on it, put adults on it. But the real power of Learning Upgrade is institutions, organizations. If there's an institution, organization that works with people that could benefit, children or adults, from our program, then connect us with them, connect them with us. LearningUpgrade.com, info@learningupgrade.com. You can find us on LinkedIn, and you can find me, on LinkedIn at Vinod Lobo. Basically, any institution that wants to put individuals on, we'll work with them.
I think that's a fantastic. Shout out that website one more time.
Yes, it's learningupgrade.com.
And that's great. Neville, I want to thank you once again for bringing in just a great guest that will have, certainly detail to this thing. We're going to have more folks come in from it, some of the learners that have benefited from it, and we can't thank you enough for greasing this kid, so to speak.
You're welcome. And it started out actually with literacy, but there's numeracy, there's financial literacy, there's a whole host of life skills that are part of the bench strength of this organization. So if you search out what you're looking to do, and if you're a self-directed learner, or you can be a conduit through a church, faith-based organization, community shelter, whatever it is, we really encourage you to lean in.
Yeah, I think that's great. Vinod Lobo, what an honor. Looking forward to having you make a return appearance more than once with some of the folks that have benefited. Neville, always a pleasure seeing you in the studio. Thank you for giving your time. And Isha, another fine job as a co-host on our Spotlight on the Community show. We're now the nation's longest running community podcast, now in our 17th year. And we hope you enjoyed the show.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.